make that happen.
Sip our caffeinated coffees.
You definitely do not have a caffeinated coffee. I'm like 80% sure.
I need someone to verify.
All right, we're live on Facebook, and we are going live on YouTube. We'll just take a few seconds and do this. Welcome back to the Life Chapel podcast, or the Life Chapel Bonuscast. I'm your host, Grant Perry. I'm here with apparently recurring guest.
It is going to be
Logan Hecklinger.
Drippin' and bonus tonight.
Logan the H Hecklinger.
Big Louie.
I feel like the H is probably standing for a curse word. I probably shouldn't say that.
No, I think it's fine. The Big Louie.
Big Louie.
Uncle Louie.
Louie.
Tell me who we have.
We don't have very many watchers right now, so we'll get there. We'll just
You're not going to say the number.
I don't want to say the number.
We'll wait a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, we won't wait.
No, we are. We're going to wait.
We'll get started, but we'll just sort of.
You know what I was talking to your dad about on Sunday?
Tell me.
Is how you get like I don't want to embarrass you.
What?
Is how you get like an outfit that you really get into. And then I wear the heck out of that thing.
That's funny because when I got dressed this morning, I thought I'm going to wear something different.
Well, that is actually the Christmas shirt from 2 years ago.
This?
Yeah.
The Christmas
I
shirt?
remember because you love
you
that
mean
thing.
the jacket?
Yeah.
Okay.
The jacket is. And you're like this jacket is sweet. And you're like, and I remember two different times.
You're going to have to back up from the mic for whatever reason. You are so much.
Come on.
You are so loud.
Maybe I am loud. Maybe it's up too loud.
You are definitely loud, but you can just.
Take a minute to adjust it if you need to. I can monologue.
No, that's okay. We definitely don't want that.
Okay. I remember you got that jacket, and you told me about it, I think, 2 to 3 times. I am loud. I just peaked.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah. So just.
This is my normal voice, though.
Okay, but just back it up a little bit.
I can't.
You can. You got it. There you go.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
All right,
yeah, I do get hung up on outfits quite a bit. It's definitely a thing of mine.
I try to live with variety. It's like a smoothie. You don't want the same thing in your smoothie every day.
Right. I do not live with variety. I said it right. I do not live with variety. I definitely live. I like very. So for I think it was 3.
I didn't even catch that you said that.
I think it was like a 3-year streak I had where I would go to Starbucks every morning, and I would get a grande iced coffee unsweetened and an oatmeal with blueberries and nuts every single day.
Are they naturally sweetened at the Starbucks?
Yeah. If you just order an iced coffee, they just assume you want it sweetened just because it's like so dark. Yeah. For whatever reason. Not everything, just iced coffee.
They do that with that.
You can't get that far back.
That green drink. Listen, I'll be on top of it.
It's like you just become unaware of the mic. Like, I don't understand.
You want me to be natural. We just had a conversation.
Yeah, but I mean...
5 seconds ago about, I peaked again.
Can you do natural. 2 things? All right, I will change it and just stick
you're going to have to
us.
change it.
This will be fantastic.
I'll monologue for a second. I've got a lot to say. So... All right, I'll wait.
All right, we're going to bring this down.
Just wait a second. Nah, it's totally off, dude. It's off.
It's not.
It is off. I swear I can't hear myself. Your dad's losing his mind right now.
I'm so upset.
No, I'm actually off.
You are not off.
Okay, put it on. Put your headphones on.
I will
tell
put
me.
my headphones on. All right, sorry guys. Pray for.
Dude, the viewers are mad because
pray for Life Chapel. We need a tech. That's what we need.
Actually, who's live right now? And check if they. We can have 5 minutes.
There's quite a few people. I'm not just gonna read them off to you.
Okay, pick someone that you trust and say, "Can you hear Logan?"
Everybody can just put in the comments if you can hear Logan. Everyone can hear Logan, and now you can move the mic closer.
Check.
Yeah, your headphones.
I've got to basically swallow it.
That's fine. Your headphones were just very loud before. Now they're at a normal volume. It's completely fine.
I'm nervous. I feel like an astronaut. Wrapped up on my head. I'm going to do it wrong.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's get this podcast started. That's enough messing around. Welcome to the Life Chapel Bonuscast. My name is Grant Perry. I am your host, and I'm here with recurring guest Logan Louie.
I thought I was the host.
No, you were not the host. Somebody said that to me the other day. They were like, yeah, Logan said he's going to be hosting on Life Channel.
Logan said?
Yeah, somebody said that you said.
There have been murmurs. There have been murmurs
that you're the new host. I am definitely the host, and this is why. Because you, Dad, Gentry, everybody else switches out.
No.
I'm the only one that stays consistent.
See, I was told that with Alana, I would be here every week.
Oh.
I'd get my check on Wednesday.
Oh, your check. Good,
And,
good. Yeah, we got to get a lot more than 11 viewers to get a check.
Yeah.
So that'll be a thing.
Or one really good viewer. I'm holding out for the one really good viewer that was like, so you get Logan on there and I'll send you this check. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I'm looking forward to the day.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some people now.
Yeah, it's
Welcome.
good, man.
So let's talk about podcasts moving forward. We just had, and then I don't want to blindside you with, it's a conversation we had a little bit ago. We really want to make this a little bit more like family time, in the sense that let's talk, which we have been talking about the church.
Did I say that? Because I've been thinking the opposite.
Make it a little bit less about a little bit less about the service and a little more about just like the broad Life Chapel conversation.
Yeah, Well, we've
family
been talking
time is
about
probably
a
a
few
weird
things.
term.
So we've been talking about a few things, and we would love to just we'll go back and read comments because I just get so distracted reading comments during this. But go ahead and just put in the comments maybe some thoughts about this. But so we've been talking about several things. So I think me and Dad are going to start our own. You don't need to read comments. You just stay focused. I think me and Dad are going to start a podcast either conversationally, or he's going to do 15-minute segments on leadership.
Yeah.
So we'll have that a thing specifically about leadership. And the other thing that I was thinking we've been talking about is talking a lot more about cultural issues. I'm tempted to say politics, but it's not really politics.
Yeah.
It's not really who needs to be the president or who needs to be, but it's more about,
everything's political.
Yeah. And it does get political. I mean, when you're talking about, gender and marriage and, things like that, moving more towards that direction where we talk about that kind of stuff. And, I don't know, I don't know if that.
This is, I think, maybe I'll make it make sense. Those are the conversations of the church. These are our widespread conversations, and making it a little more broad. I'm saying our subject and the things that maybe we're talking about. We kind of had that conversation.
Right.
Maybe we never stamped it. Maybe we never made it
Nothing ever
concrete.
Is stamped in my head until it's done.
Well, it's done now.
Yes.
We're doing it right now. This is as stamped as it gets.
But then the question is does Monday remain sort of Life Chapel family time, where we talk maybe a little more broadly, but more so about things that Life Chapel is doing, announcements, things like that.
Yeah.
And then
okay, I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? Should we do multiple podcasts?
Yeah, no.
Should we should Monday night become the night that we talk about big issues? You know what I mean? I mean, I guess we would have to run that past pastor. We can't just say that. We can't just decide.
Past pastor. Yeah.
Past pastor.
Yeah. I could just see us going that way. I think it's gonna be hard not to, with all of our There's just so many conversations that when you get to a space where we're just talking, it's so hard to avoid.
Yeah.
That I think it's almost inevitable. And then at what point are we not if we're all together for a conversation, or we're hosting something where we can talk as for the church, at what point are we saying we need to talk about certain things so that we can serve the church well. I think that's kind of where in my head I think it'd be hard not to go.
Yeah.
Just in a little bit of a different direction, But
right. And
I'm here for it all.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah. Apparently you're here every week, according to you. So that's good.
Hey, we haven't done one in a minute. That's why I haven't been here.
Yeah. Welcome back to the podcast. We do everything at Life Chapel in seasons, and I think that just helps not only people who attend but also the leadership. I find it interesting. I hear a lot of talk about, from church leadership often about taking time to rest and taking time to not be hurried and not be busy, and then it seems like pastors and church leadership are always going, the times where everybody else gets a rest, they ramp up, Christmas, Easter, those times. And so we try we try and sort of live what we would hope that everyone lives, which just be comfortable with the idea that like I may not get so much done during the Christmas thing. We may not have the Christmas like spectacular that a lot of people have, but we'll have a very honest Christmas service. Yeah. And we are going to take time to be a family, you know?
And we actually since we haven't covered into this, our Christmas service was like one of the most memorable Christmas Eve services.
Yeah.
Of just when I loved it, but when the kids spoke.
Yeah, the kids told
I love
the story.
The kids. I love Sammy Garcia. Mm-hmm. That kid cracks me up. Dude. I see him. He's running around. We always catching eyes and like, what are you doing? Like, I love that kid. He cracks me up. We've had like 3 conversations and they've been funny.
yeah. And the greatest kids are like just so on it, you know?
Yeah,
like Hannah is like, da 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 da, boom, nailed it.
Yeah, they were
crushed it. I always, at the end of her lines, I always felt like she was just like looking like.
Drop the mic. Yeah, I know. And just like, or push the other guys off the stage.
Yeah, just like amateurs, you know, like I'm here for it, you know? Like
she's the kid. She's the kid that sits in the front of the class.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah. All the Critus kids really
We're talking about real people.
We are talking about real people. Yeah, no, all the kids did so great. It was really, really cool to watch. I felt like it was and that's what I always want. I always want like an honest Christmas service. Maybe it's like my taste a little bit, but I don't enjoy like the Christmas spectacular thing, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it
matches our body. Like it doesn't match the body of the church that we serve. I think it would feel weird in our space.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. You know what idea I did have for next Christmas that I think we should do? So we were
going to ruin the surprise right now.
No, it's not going to be a surprise. It couldn't be. We would have to like amp this thing up for months to get this done. But so me and Brooke took the girls like down through Oregon, and there's one of those houses that have the lights, 2 songs where you like go into.
There's 2 of them across from each other, aren't there? Like that road.
Well, I didn't see that, but
there's like a road. One. Everyone needs to go there. Is it Wales Road?
I mean, I'm just telling you, I didn't see what you are talking about, so I have nothing to comment.
What's the road that's got it's got all the lights that you feel like they're competing?
I honestly do not know, but there's this one. Anyway,
I'm ruining the story.
I'll get this story
okay.
out. So there was a house that you turn to a certain like number on the radio, and the music.
It's that road. I know what you're talking about. It's the road.
Well, I'm explaining for the listeners.
Yeah.
So my thought was, it's this house. My thought was like, why doesn't a church do that? You know what I mean?
Because you'd have to get on the roof to put lights on, and we can't do that.
And Grant can't get on the roof.
That's really it.
I am ready. Like I am ready to take a roof back on. For those of you who don't know, I broke my leg falling off a roof. But yeah, I am ready. But dude, wouldn't that be sick? Like do the entire side of a church.
Yeah, no,
and then
sweet.
do like a thing that makes sense on the radio, like a Christmas story or something.
No, it would be sweet. That'd be awesome.
Be sick?
That would take a level of production. Can we employ the house of the whoever does it in Oregon if the talent is that close?
I'm sure there's a company that does this kind of stuff.
You think so?
There has to be. We would have to do a fundraiser because I guarantee it would be thousands of dollars.
You know the problem though? Let's say like the one the one wrench is that our church is in a cornfield.
That's perfect.
Why?
That's perfect because there's no atmospheric lights getting in the way. Right. You've got tons of room for people to park.
Can we redirect some traffic?
Dude, that would be man. You would do it as an attraction.
I'll call Mike DeWine.
You like people wouldn't stumble upon this. You would put out a bunch of like flyers and stuff, like Facebook stuff, like, hey, come park your cars here.
Yeah,
it's going to be like this huge.
Oh, you're talking about. I just realized the level of production we're talking about.
Yeah, dude, like the whole side of the building. Put on a Christmas story, but done with like Christmas lights. So it would never be us
getting on the roof.
I just said I'm like not about Christmas extravaganzas, and I'm like, but let's do one also.
Let's do the biggest thing that we've ever seen.
But wouldn't that be sick? Like I don't know why churches aren't doing that. Like because we loved it with Ella. Ella was just flabbergasted at how beautiful this was. And
did you guys go to the lights this year? At the zoo?
At the zoo? No, we didn't. We thought about it.
She'd probably lose her mind there if she.
Maybe it's me being an adult. I do not see the attraction anymore. Like I've been the last few years. I'm sorry, Toledo Zoo. I love you. I'm not trying to down the Toledo Zoo, but it's just like, it feels like you walk down like 2 or 3 paths and it's like over, and now I'm freezing.
There are barn animals now, though.
Are there really?
Yeah, which is yeah, and well, it's not actually just specific. I'm gonna just brag on the zoo. It's not just specific to the lights. They've got a new barn exhibit that features lambs and goats.
You know what? I think I
my
saw that.
Safe space. Like, I love those lambs, man. I was just like, which one can I take home?
That's stupid.
And they got chickens.
You know what's funny is I think I saw it's like a petting zoo, like
yeah,
portion.
But it's so well done and it's so zoo-ish.
Me and Brooke took Ella in the summer to the zoo.
Oh, you've seen
and we saw that, and I was like, who is doing petting zoos? Like, it is insane to me.
So,
I do not like. Everybody's so scared of this coronavirus, but we're just gonna let goats lick us.
Goats don't get the Rona.
I get it. It's not, but it's like, shouldn't we be safer? Like, I just don't understand the attraction.
This is so funny because this is us on any subject. I'm like, could it get better? I'm touching a lamb. In real life, I'm like, could things get better? And you're like, this is wrong. But
I don't understand
everything about. They had reindeer in there.
I gotta stop drinking coffee.
They had reindeer. Like, is it, you've ever seen a reindeer in your life?
I don't think I have.
That's what I'm saying.
Could they fly?
No, not at the. Well, they didn't feature it. Like, maybe it was because they
didn't do a show.
Yeah, it was no
like the
show.
Blue Angels. Did you ever see the Blue Angels?
No, actually, yeah, I have. They flew over.
Yeah.
They flew over
Would
the
it be
hospitals.
sick? The reindeer do like a Blue Angels show. Like,
It's so funny that you started off like 10 minutes ago by saying Christmas is just like this normal thing, and then you've gone up to Blue Angel reindeer.
Blue Angel reindeer.
Lights on the side of the church that we're going to hire out.
Yeah.
You're
Dude,
talking a
sick,
big budget, man. We get the reindeer to fly.
Yeah, if we could get the reindeer to fly. Mostly because reindeer don't fly, so we'd have to use jetpacks.
The water jetpacks. So we're going to have to dig. We're actually going to have to dig a lake.
We need to replace the parking lot anyway. So we'll just dig up the parking lot into a lake.
And we need 12 water jetpacks that will fit a reindeer.
And we'll just tell the church, you can park again when you pay for a parking lot, because it's a lake now. So,
or just bring a boat.
Or just park your boat.
Yeah, just watch out for the reindeer, because we can't get rid of them. They're like a Christmas feature, but we paid a lot for the reindeer. Like, can you imagine?
So we just keep them?
You have to incorporate them every Sunday, because you're like, I don't want to waste this money.
Every week we just have something for the reindeer. Like, the first 2 weeks it was amazing, and then by like March it's like, what are we doing with these reindeer?
Someone's like having to come in and clean up after them. Like,
oh my gosh,
where does this go?
I don't know, man. It would be bad, but I think that would be cool for next year to do a lights thing. So if anybody knows how to do lights like that, hit me up. I would like to do that on the side of the building at Life Chapel.
We're in between a reindeer or penguin exhibit. Like, you're gonna have to help us pick. We haven't priced things out. We'll get Mariah on that, but like, we'll let you know.
Yeah, Mariah, get on that right now. Start getting some prices. What does it take to get flying reindeer and penguins
and or penguin? We'll do whatever's reasonable.
Yeah, whatever's most reasonable. I think that's a pretty good decision.
Whatever happened to 4-H?
What is 4-H?
Yeah, do we have any youth in our church that are involved in 4-H? I mean, like,
I don't know what 4-H is. Oh, is that the farmers?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
4-H. What is it?
I don't know.
What does it mean?
None of those things seem to indicate farmer to me.
They are. It's about like homesteading and like farming and stuff. But like, it's a normal thing for schools to do. But
yeah,
for like
you know
Eastwood
what's weird
Lake.
is we don't actually have, I don't think, any Lake students in the church right now.
Really?
Yeah, me and my brothers went to Lake, but I don't think we have any Lake students right now. So that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So
I grew up in Lake District, but I wonder where all that even covers.
Wouldn't it have been crazy if you would have went to Lake and I
would have, but I would have been with Gentry.
Yeah, you would have been with Gentry. Are you guys the exact same age?
I think we're the same year. I don't know if we're the same age.
What year did you graduate?
Older than me, doesn't he?
12.
I graduated 11.
I think he graduated 12.
Maybe he's a year younger than me.
Because we're 4 years apart, and I graduated 8.
I mean, my maturity level compared to him is just off the charts, dude. I believe he's younger.
You mean
than
your
me,
maturity level is way
above
lower?
Him.
Oh,
way above.
Interesting interpretation.
So
of that
I actually do think
situation.
I do think he graduated in 2012. He thinks he's a year younger than me.
Dude, I would have thought of you as a child.
Yeah.
Like,
In
that's
school,
funny
yeah.
because now we're peers.
Yeah.
But in school, I would have thought like, oh my gosh, look at that little tiny baby
we're like
boy.
just becoming peers. When you're in high school, everything below the year below you is like, I was never that young.
Tiny.
That's how I was
like,
children. I was never that young.
Yeah, like you're a senior and it's like like freshmen are children.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Like what is wrong with these freshmen?
Disgusting and broken. Like they're look how tiny
funny?
they are.
To be fair, when I was a freshman, I remember
still mad at the freshmen.
I remember looking like a senior in high school and a 30-year-old were the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Like I was just like adults.
Oh, I know.
Like they were just adults.
I have such a specific memory of, this is my aging memory. I have such a specific memory of my sister turning 7, which I would have been 4.5 or 5. There's no way.
If their thing stopped playing.
I think we look at the church. I hate talking to you about this stuff because I think all of this stuff has come from you to me. So I feel like in your head you're checking off like I can take credit for that.
Yeah, I can take credit for everything.
I'm the host, but you can take the credit for. So you look at church for like what is there for me to receive, and then I think we think about it less with who am I there to sacrifice for? Like the weeks you don't want to come to church, the weeks that you're just like, I just really need to rest this week, right? Like it's the day of rest, and I'm not resting if I go to church. Like I need to rest. Like it's a total separation of that second piece of church. Like somebody needs me at church. Someone needs a word from me. Someone needs prayer with me.
Yeah.
Needs a smile or a hug, know?
I think.
And that was yesterday for me. I'm like, I felt the difference.
Right.
I
think sometimes though, like even that dichotomy of like, not to just correct you, but to correct you.
But go ahead, yeah.
No, but I feel
because
like
I just credit it to you. Now you own it. So.
Yeah. No, now I'm disagreeing with myself. But like sometimes even that dichotomy of like sacrifice and rest is a little bit of like a false, and I know that you know this, but is a little bit of like a misnomer in that. So like for instance, like if you don't take care of your body, and you go work out. Working out feels like it makes you feel worse. Yeah. Like working out makes me feel bad. I'm out of breath. My body hurts. But then you get to a certain point where working out is the thing you do to feel good. Yeah. Because it's good for your body, that's right? Good. So at some point it's like it is a sacrifice to work out, but then at another point it's the thing that energizes and rejuvenates you. It is the thing. Working actually gives you rest. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a certain level of,
it's kind of a paradox.
Yeah, I think when you have a certain attitude about it, serving in the church does feel very much like, oh, I got to get some me time, like I got to get some rest. Like I've been serving for so long, I got to get some rest, And there's definitely a time where everybody has to, like, no matter how well adapted you are to working out, you have to take a rest day at some point. But the vast majority of the time, that serving is the thing that gives you rest and rejuvenation.
Absolutely. Well, especially in the moment, man. There's nothing like, even in your tiredest moments, there's nothing like seeing that you're that. The purpose of the church is like being made manifest, like in a moment,
right?
Like there's nothing quite like that. Nothing quite as energizing. Yeah. As like recognizing that in a moment, and I don't know. It kind of flies in the face of personal care for me. Mm-hmm. It really does. So I know what you're saying. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a season of me mentally adjusting to that, is what I'm saying. Right. Because I was serving with youth and serving with your dad for about maybe over a year ago. We were trying some things out and on Sunday mornings, but outside of that, I have been coming to church with very much never a consumer mentality, but really like if I didn't show up at church, it would feel like it would go on without me, you know? Yeah. So which is the reality it would have, you know? Yeah. But so it's gonna be a shift. So far,
well, from my perspective, like watching you, being such a close friend with you and watching how differently you interacted with the church this Sunday was just like a really just a beautiful thing to watch.
Because I put a hat on, man, which is interesting. I did. I put a hat on. I
a physical hat, or
figuratively.
Gotcha.
You would have seen my hat physically.
I couldn't remember. I was trying to think like what hat, like what color?
I thought about wearing a hat.
Yeah.
I overthought. I really don't ever overthink my outfits. This Sunday,
that's clear.
I overthought my outfit, and then I was like, when I came to it, I was like, forget it. I'm wearing nothing special. And ended up wearing like the thing that was like, your dad was like, that's a pretty noticeable shirt. I'm like, so is yours. Like, so is yours. Yeah. But like, I tried not to overthink it. But what was I saying? This Sunday, I was like, should I wear a hat? I'm like, no, I don't wear hats ever. Like, why would
figuratively, you did wear a hat.
Yeah, but figuratively, I wore. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bring it around. I did wear a hat this Sunday. I had a mentality of service.
Yeah.
Whereas otherwise, I wouldn't have been there that early. So I had some interactions where I was there all day. You know, for all church day, and I had time and room for interactions that otherwise I think there were some natural interactions that would have happened. I'm picking this apart if I had spent more time at church, but I think when you're not serving, it's easy to come in and at the end of service you just kind of scoot out, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like but it has always been my favorite part of church to have a conversation after church, you know.
Right.
So I don't know. It's something that I think we naturally do.
Yeah, I think it was just really good to see you interacting with people. And so as far as hospitality, sort of what's your thought process on what? So I know what I think hospitality is. When you sort of signed on and said, I'm gonna help out with hospitality.
I think it's I want to answer. I don't want to interrupt you.
Just announce it. I'm going to answer.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to.
That was my question. Well, so you didn't interrupt,
but
and
I was
also
starting to make noises. Like you were asking the question, I was like, ah. So I did ask a question. We had a small meeting on Thursday, and when I say small, it was a small meeting. There was a very small team, you know, which is a great place to. Hey,
sorry,
you don't need to explain it. We are their hospitality team. Jeff Patrizzo has been really managing it for the past year and done a fantastic job. Has built a big team, but I do not know them yet, right? Like, we don't have a relationship yet. There's a big percentage of the team that I've actually literally never met. So we had a small meeting, and the invite was sent out a couple days before, and they're like, you know, it was during the night of prayer. So we had a really small gathering. Anyway, I asked a question to the team. We did like a little bit of a survey to just kind of get a pulse of where things are at. And how we think about hospitality. One of the questions was, in any other setting, what does hospitality look like to you? So, and I had to explain a little bit, like whether you're going
and that was a question you put out to the
team.
Group that was there.
Yeah, because which looks like going to Chick-fil-A and them saying like my pleasure. You know what I mean? For me, that's what I think of. Or going to the bank and even if you're 27 years old, they still have suckers on the counter for you to take. You know what I mean? Like it's hospitality. Like having like clean restrooms and stuff. I think of that's hospitality to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's really easy to think of hospitality in the church and then hospitality outside of the church. And it's in my head. I think it in terms of like, what would you do in your own home? You know, what would you do for a guest in your own home? You'd offer food. You'd clean up. If there's a guest of honor, which I really think the way we should look at our Sunday gatherings is, you know, it's an honor that anyone would come and worship with us. You know, it's a big deal. Not like in terms of, I mean, it's not a huge sacrifice to take an hour out of your week to come and spend it, you know, at church, but it is a conscious choice. You know what I mean? Like I do think about it honorably, like out of all the places you could be, you chose to come worship at our church. And anyway, so I have like the guest of honor mentality is what I'm trying to say. But then even kind of like simplifying that, anytime you have someone over to your house, you really do put your best foot forward, and you want to make sure that they're not sitting there like, oh, I was expecting this and it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like you want to really provide, you know, good service. So I like to think about it in terms of like your home. Right. That's good. So like food, man, like food. We need food. We need food. We need food in the foyer. That's it. Yeah, we need food. Well, we've been talking about nonstop. You know, not nonstop, but for years, I've been pushing for us to rip out the offices and turn that into a cafe. Yeah, man. Wouldn't that be sick? Yeah, I would love it. You know what depresses me is like
we are the church that has birthed Rust Belt, and we might be the church. And I'm sorry, Life Chapel.
The only church.
I'm sorry, Life Chapel, and I'm sorry, Dad, but we might have the worst church coffee.
And we're the only church. We have church? We haven't had church coffee.
We haven't since
right?
the virus. Yeah, we stopped serving.
What
it.
hasn't the virus ruined?
Oh,
we didn't have church. We didn't have
virus.
Church coffee.
You can get over yourself.
Church coffee. And we have the opportunity for Rust Belt. Who is that on? Like, is that on you?
Probably on me. Well, it's hard because it's just to be honest. Like if we weren't talking in front of people, this is what I'd say. So it's budget. Like it's just so hard to get something like that up and running. I mean, it's just like, at what point do you have? And it doesn't directly like add to, or it doesn't feel like so when we updated how we do online church, that's directly getting the gospel into people's homes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's priority, and so even though it's expensive to do some of those things, like cameras are always expensive. It's difficult and it's expensive. There's an obvious, like, this is priority. Like this is getting the gospel. Whereas putting a cafe in the church, though it is like a quality of life sort of thing, and it could create like a great amount of community and things like that. It's really hard to come up with to a church of our size to be like, all right, we're going to drop a couple $1,000s on just like,
especially when it's not something you'd consider like this is baseline function to like have, like we need the heat to be a certain temperature to even like use the building. You know what I mean?
Like we have to have some heat.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah, and so that's what's always hard. And I think even what's funny is like in this area, even I look at churches our size in sort of larger cities, and this isn't downing this area at all, but it is an interesting thing. And like, so we went to a small church in where was it? It was near Gatlinburg, but it was in one of the little, I think it was like Knoxville, maybe. Knoxville, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's
and it was but it was like a young church in a larger city, and so they had like a whole pour over station. Like they had like a latte, like a milk steamer and an espresso machine and all that. And so it's just like it's a priority. It's a young, large city that like people, and whereas when you're in like sort of more of a blue collar area, trying to live above like function is I think a very hard sell oftentimes because we are very
functional,
and this is the thing to be prideful of. I think this is a good thing, but we are very like functional
people.
The
Midwest, it's hard to get away from the thinking of like, well, does it actually matter? You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Which is part of why I'm like, I couldn't live anywhere else.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. I'm like a broken millennial. Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
dude,
I want avocado toast, but could I live with butter toast?
I'd
be fine with butter toast.
I am broken in that way. Again, that's part of like why like the Midwest remains like.
Yeah.
Like
I want to go to First Watch, but Bob Evans doesn't have a line.
Right.
And it's less expensive, like for sure.
Oh, I totally get it. So before we close out the hospitality thing, I do want to share a little thing I was thinking of, and I think I told you about this like really briefly, but I was kind of spending those 2 months considering hospitality. I started listening to some like podcasts and I have I really do have a theology around hospitality. I do believe it's part of gifting, and definitely it's for me, I've always seen it through the lens of ministry, which is something we talked about on Thursday night too. Like this is a ministry we want to emphasize. It's ministry purpose, and it's ministry within our Sunday services, the context of a Sunday service. It's essential, to be having a hospitality mindset. Anyway, those 2 months I was looking into some stuff, and I just heard this really just kind of crazy story about this young man who's kind of dedicated his life to hospitality. And I think I
remember you telling me about this. Yeah,
and he's telling on his podcast why it's become like the pursuit of his life to create hospitable environments. And he tells a story of he had to go to California or Florida, whatever, either one of the Disney worlds, and waiting for his mom to have a heart transplant. Like she was at the hospital and they were waiting days for like this surgery. Like they had actually received the heart, did the surgery, but it takes a few days to see if her body's going to take it, right? So it's
Right.
an awful, week or 3 to 5 days,
and then
however
they're just
long
stuck
it takes.
there.
And they're waiting
Yeah.
to find out if their mom's going to live, And this young man tells a story, like, they're like, one day they're like, we'll just forget it. We're going to go to Disney World. You know what I mean? Like, we're here. It's him and his father and his new wife, right? So they go to Disney World, and he said, everything about my experience, this is just really, everything about my experience made me forget, like, why I had to come there in the first place. He made me forget that my mom was in a life or death situation. And he said the only explanation was hospitality. It was the only reason why I was able to separate. And it was in such a way that made me recognize, like, my problems within the context of life, or my current circumstance within the context of life, or in our case within the church, within our family of the church, our lives within that. It has a way of displacing you out of, we're just talking about it, kind of like your selfish day-to-day week, and then placing you in a family, which does change your perspective. But I pulled away from this conversation, and I'm like, if there's anywhere in the entire world that should own that, it's the church.
Right.
Like, the church should own hospitality, and should define the term.
Yeah.
Really, it really should define the term, because that is a powerful tool,
Right. And I think a lot of churches are really good at that out there,
Yeah.
It's been interesting. Like, you're walking in at such an interesting time, because, like, what is hospitality in the age of the virus? You know what I mean? Like, it's so odd, because, Life Chapel's always prided itself on, like, hugs, handshakes, that type of stuff. And in the middle of this, it's just so, yeah, man. But I love that vision of hospitality. And if you're out there and you're looking to volunteer at Life Chapel,
just gonna do that. Like, shameless plug.
Seriously, why not? This is the Life Chapel family we're talking to.
I would love to have a conversation. I will be there Sunday.
Yeah.
Both services. Find me. I don't know what I'm going to be wearing.
I'll definitely be overthinking what I'll be wearing.
I'll think it through. But find me. Please find me. If you can't find me, ask any of the staff, and they will help you find me. I would love to have a conversation. So
yeah. So let's do that, dude. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's talk about last week, prayer and fasting. That week, that week was awesome. Our prayer meetings are the best prayer meetings we've had in probably a decade, I would imagine, and my, pastor and Sharon agree that, like, they were impactful. You were at most of them, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so it was a really powerful time, but what I'm finding, I don't know, tell me if you're feeling this. So since then, this morning, I said this to Brooke. I was like, I feel like there is a wind of new inspiration and creativity, and I have to attribute it to the week of prayer and fasting. So, like, I have not thought of or gotten excited about a new idea in a long time. It's been, and that's a thing that I do. So when I say a long time, it's been months. Like, I dream of ideas and I get excited about. Like, that's the thing that I do. And it's been months since I've gotten, like, really excited about something. And this past week, there's been, so even just this evening, my mom was over at our house. She came over for some dinner, because her and my dad are working on their house and stuff, so they don't have time to cook and whatnot. So we've been trying to make food for them when we can. So she came over to get a burger, and she just got super inspired and started, like, helping us come up with ideas to, like, decorate the house and do all this stuff. And
oh man,
and it was just like, and you could hear the excitement. And this morning, Brooke and I were talking about the idea of, like, possibly putting in a bakery at some point, like, at that, at that space. It's being utilized right now, but if at any point it weren't being utilized, like, putting in a bakery. And dude, so get this,
amazing.
We thought through this idea, calling it Sweet Box, okay, and doing like not bakery style stuff, but, like, she's done the Pop-Tarts. You've had the Pop-Tarts. Do, like, homemade.
Got pause. Yeah, I would
We've talked about the Pop-Tarts so many times.
There is not a limb I wouldn't give to have, like, just to get those Pop-Tarts in the hand of everyone.
Yeah. And it's so funny. So many people have been waiting on these Pop-Tarts for literally years. And
there's always this, like, you broke your leg. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
like the Pop-Tarts are more important. They're so good, guys.
But doing
Brooke makes these Pop-Tarts. Their brown sugar cinnamon is she's made other flavors, but the brown sugar cinnamon ones are just off the wall.
Yeah.
I like think about them.
Yeah.
And so I will not say the name, another coffee shop in this little area has started doing Pop-Tarts, and I tasted them because I wanted to know, like, do they even compare?
Could this scratch the itch?
It doesn't even close. It's not even close. I'm like if Brooks Pop-Tart, I'm like, there should be lines. So I have everything in my head as a food truck, right? So like nothing is just like I'm like, how could this food translate to a truck?
Yeah.
Where couldn't Pop-Tarts go?
But dude, so think about this concept, sweet box, okay?
And a truck.
And you could do it in a truck.
Dude, I love it in a box.
Yeah, and everything comes in a cardboard box, but
cute,
you do this dozen thing where it's a dozen of any item you want, mix match whatever, and it's called a sweet box. Like you just take a dozen, you get, you can do cookies. I think I was telling her today she should figure out a way to do homemade Oreos, like just all of that stuff, but like just a better version of like the classic sweets, that just like scratch that itch. And
if there was an Oreo, man, Brooke, are you watching? If there was an Oreo that wasn't made out of fake food,
right?
What could I do with it?
A real Oreo.
Like, what could I do?
Gosh,
what could?
But imagine if it were just the size of a cookie.
God.
You know what I mean? Just the regular size of a cookie.
We can't do this
Wouldn't
before bed,
sick?
like anymore.
I know.
Like I have to go find it after this.
I have to go eat some Oreos.
Dude.
But yeah, so we were just dreaming about that all day, and it's been months since I've had like any of that like inspiration. You know what I mean? And then we've been talking about like the studio up here at Life Chapel.
Yeah, which is dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet. And hopefully just all the things that will come out of it. Kyle has been helping me with like the sound.
Shout out to Kyle Chumchaw.
Yeah, Kyle Chumchaw, who brought his stuff in here. And like Ethan texted me the other day, and he's like, Ethan Chumchaw is out there. Hopefully he doesn't mind me telling this, but he was like, serving and leading worship at Life Chapel is one of the greatest honors of my life. And there's just this like tailwind that I feel like has just come up since the week of prayer and fasting.
Man. Yeah.
Of inspiration, like I'm psyched up about things.
It's such a it's such a clear example of how we are so. This is going to sound so new agey. We're so connected, man. Like our bodies and our mind, and I think really the inspiration when we feed our spiritual self. When we feed our spiritual self, you're gonna. Like the other parts of your life are going to be well fed too. You know what I mean? Like your mind is going to be in a healthier place. I really believe that, and I think dude, I was thinking as we were having, I'm like, how often can we do prayer nights that we don't lose the fire, but it's not,
right.
You can't do it every night, right, man, for it to feel fresh, but how often can you do it to where it's like, I got to get to prayer night.
So that kind of brings us to the next thing we're going to be doing. So along with all like the podcast shifts we're talking about, we're definitely going to be adding like a leadership podcast. So be watching for that. That's going to be Pastor Jonathan primarily. And that's going to be a much more organized, official sort of teaching. Like anyone who works in management, leadership, I mean, has any authority at all anywhere is going to want to hear what, that's what my dad has essentially dedicated his life to, is like how to lead well and love well in that position. So that's going to be amazing. And then we're going to bring back Wednesday nights, which we've been talking about. You're getting tired.
No,
you and Pastor. I'm the only one that can handle 9 to 10.
Dude, I go to bed at 7:30. So.
Oh my goodness. So we're going to be bringing back Wednesday nights. I am super excited about this. So we are going to be doing 6:30 to 8 every Wednesday night. 6 to 6:30 is going to be prayer. We're going to do a prayer meeting every Wednesday night. And then you can come to both. You don't have to. And then from I'm sorry, 6:30 to 7 is going to be prayer. So the whole night is 6:30 to 8. 6:30 to 7 is going to be prayer, and then at 7 we're going to start a teaching. We're going to do a Bible teaching, and we'll do that. I'll teach around 30 or 45 minutes, and then we'll do discussion.
What about children? Are we planning to do the same?
Not at the moment. No children on Wednesday night. No
kids are welcome.
People can bring children, but we won't do like child care. But my thought is, what my hope would be is that if there's enough people who want to come to this, which I think there is, because I'm going to talk about how we're going to be framing Wednesday nights, and I think there's enough people that are going to want to come. Like, it should just be like a parent cooperative, you know what I mean? Where it's like, why don't, instead of like the church necessarily like us organizing or Aaron and Bobby organizing childcare, parents that want to come, like, either a parent can be back there, or we can hire a babysitter or something like that. I don't know. That's the dream, I guess. I don't know if that could even happen.
Yeah, and old enough. Yeah. Youth would just join.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but it's going to be Wednesday night, the Bible teaching we're going to be putting on for seasons, just like we do everything. So we're going to do a 10-week stretch coming up starting in February, starting the first week in February, actually. We're going to do a 10-week stretch, and they're going to be in-depth studies on things that I think are culturally significant. I call it sort of a defender's course. To some degree, it will all center around the way that the world is pushing back against Christian, not just the scripture in particular, but Christian values. Yeah. Things that have come out of the scripture. So the first one, we're going to be talking about gender. We're going to be talking about sexuality. We're going to be talking about the debate with transgenderism, with sexuality and homosexuality, and how what the church is going to do with that, and sort of push back against traditional understandings of biblical sexuality and holy sexuality and all of that stuff. And so I think when I say that, I think it's a turnoff for a lot of people. But
it's a turn on for me, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think.
Well, me and you have been on the same stream recently, and I think we recognize how real this situation is getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think more than. I think we have a way of venting our problems to each other. So like, right. I think if we didn't have each other, we'd probably find a lot more people would have this conversation.
Yeah.
But I think people have a way of solving these problems in their mind, though. Like, I think everyone does this. If you're living the Christian life, man, there's things you can't avoid, and you must remedy some things in your mind. You must.
See, I disagree.
And
we've talked about this before.
Let me explain myself so that the audience can disagree with me.
All right, and I will fight you.
It's very difficult to. I'll talk about my life before I was really thoughtful about about the kind of like the, I don't want to call them the nuances, but the parts of the Bible that are less than.
Well, that are pushing back against culture. That culture is pushing back against now.
Well, specifically those things that don't really like excite my appetite. Like I'd rather like just leave that where it is. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Yeah. Those things I had to have an explanation for, because I couldn't avoid the thought in my head. I could avoid the conversation, but the thought in my head I had to come to a conclusion on.
Yeah.
I would generally, and I think there's a lot of things. Even in those conversations before I wanted to have those conversations, people had like their one word answer for it. You know what I mean? Like, well, that's just the Bible, or that's just like what God says. I think people come to this like maybe baseline conclusion that when you really stop and think about it, you're not really satisfied with, but you have like a Christian answer. You know what I mean? And you disagree with that.
Yeah. No, I don't think I disagree as much as I thought I disagreed. I think you're right.
In my defense, Grant disagrees with everything I say before
that's not true.
We have the chance to talk about it.
No, that's not
true.
Go
ahead.
But I think, kind of like you said, I think for most people it just goes in a box.
Yeah.
That maybe there's a one-word answer, but I think a lot of people just throw stuff in a box in the back of their brains and don't really think about it until they're confronted by an opposition.
Yeah.
And so much I've been seeing, especially online. Obviously, this is a really big thing. The opposition to traditional understandings of like biblical sexuality or like gender, just your basic understanding of gender, it is becoming much more sophisticated in terms of they're starting to co-opt the scripture to. So, for instance, you're scrolling along and somebody says, you see online that Paul says there is neither male nor female in Christ Jesus, right? And they're like, this is obviously like telling you there is neither male nor female. Your gender is a cultural construct or whatever, you know? And so then the average Christian, I don't think, since that the whole transgenderism issue and everything has been just pocketed in the back of their brain, doesn't have an answer for that. And so then it's like, and then some people just continue to ignore it, and some people spin out. Yeah. But I think
and I think sometimes, depending on the topic, it might be personality based, where you can live a life that does avoid coming to that conflict for some time, and you might have, the kind of, or your schedule's so busy, or like you're already preoccupied with so many other things that you don't address that thing, because it does take mind space. It takes heart space. Dude, me, like I've had months of just trying to process some of this stuff to like ad nauseum. Like, I'm like, Logan, to where I'm like, you gotta take a break away. You know what I mean? Then continuing to process, but because it'll get you, man.
And then I think when those seemingly clear doctrines meet real pain, is when people get real mixed up. And that becomes like, so,
which is why
you're told
to labor. I think that's why we have to labor over it, is because of the real pain.
So you have one of those easy answers, to something like the gender question. Like, God created male and female. Okay, that's it. Goes in the back of your brain, doesn't require any more thought than that. And then you meet someone who is really pained about the fact that they feel trapped in the wrong body. And you look them in the eyes and you're like, this person isn't making up this pain. What does this mean? What could this possibly mean? And then all of a sudden that easy answer, it gets all jumbled in your brain, and you don't have anything else to.
It feels like it holds a lot less weight. In a lot of contexts, it probably does not hold that much weight,
Right.
And then you have to, the labor is in having to process that, having to come to, you have to work to get to peace in some places in these conversations, you know, to come to that conclusion where you feel like you have to have maybe an ongoing conversation with yourself. This is what holiness looks like, you know. This is does feel different. Everywhere I go to Starbucks, man, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I go to Starbucks, I go to Best Buy, I go to anywhere, man. I don't go to either of those places. I don't really pick those two places. But
we have Starbucks.
I know, that was a gift. But but you go to those places and you're gonna have the presentation of what is not holy, like call it what it is. Of a not holy living, and you have to come to that conclusion again or remind yourself. So you have to develop an active muscle, especially I believe this year, in these years of being able to just for the sake of yourself, like being able to say, like, I know who my God is in the midst of this pain, and having that piece on tap to remind yourself, that's the kind of thinking I do. I know that's the kind of thinker you are. Like, you have to work through things that.
I think without that work, you end up in one of two places. This is my view, my opinion. I think you end up in one of two places. Either you succumb to the idea of, like, surely God did not create this person just to be in this much pain. And then either you give up belief in God entirely, or you reinterpret the scriptures to fit your new found desire to, affirm a particular lifestyle. Or the other option is you sever compassion altogether. And you just say,
you become a monster.
And you just say, like, without any reason, without any thought, without any care for how it's affecting the individuals that you meet in your life, you just quote, say the truth. This is the whole thing of, like, you speak the truth. And I think there's a way to, like, the gospel and holy sexuality and holiness, which is what the series we're talking about is going to be offensive. But there's a difference between it being offensive and you being offensive. And I think finding that line and wrestling with that line, I think is important, and being okay with the fact that, sometimes it just you love people that will not love you back because you feel that you have to stay true to what God has said. And so we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of a lot of these things. And I feel like I kind of have to give an example, like a taster. I was talking about this to a friend the other day, but I've done a lot of thinking about this, right? So I'll hear a lot of people say, oh, my, like, I don't know how people could doubt, gender, or like boys and girls. My daughter, from the time she was born, she was just attracted to dolls and to babies and wanted to play house. And my son, just wanted guns and things like that. And here's the thing. And so in their minds, like, that's proof that, that, well, obviously, obviously, like, gender is just gender. But but the problem with that is definitely most kids are going to easily fall into those categories. Right. But then what happens when the boy comes out of the womb and seems to be much more attracted to dolls and to house? Right. And if that is your position,
that's your only construct,
then now you're a girl.
Yeah.
Right. So you must be a girl. So you're trapped. You're a girl trapped in a boy's body, right? If that's so that's when we have to introduce a much more sophisticated understanding of, like, what does it, and I think it'll come down to affirming that, like, our physical bodies just matter. Yeah. Like, that it's not your tastes that make you a man or a woman. It's your physical body. Mm-hmm. It's your physical body that makes you a man or a woman. And then there are things that come out of that, or that should come out of that. Yeah. That God has laid out and planned for. But I think the world, in all of their confusion, in this, at trying to elevate almost the sensual, has crushed the importance of just the biological body. Yeah. It's just like, you're just trapped in this body, Yeah. So that's a small taste of why I think, the average answer for a Christian to some of these big issues is just not going to cut it, and you should come to my class.
Come to my class.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, 2 shameless plugs tonight. So,
well, that's what we're here to do.
So,
of course, it's shameless.
Yeah. The last piece, and we're like cruising along with time. The last piece before we review comments and stuff, because we're probably going to have to wrap it up pretty soon, is tying what you're talking about right here back with kind of the focus of the church right now. We started a new sermon series about holiness. Yeah. And one of the things that I've had to grapple onto, and it's just in the timing that God works, something the Spirit's been talking to me about is holiness. Like, sometimes there are things that you don't pass off the labor of coming to a sophisticated solution. You don't pass it off and just use the word holiness. But one of the always contributing factors is, like, this is part of holy living, right? There's a holy living component to these conversations, that is the way that God would have it. I don't want to go too far down this road, but in my life, God has been bringing that up as I wrestle with these things. Like, this is holiness, and I've been listening to Tim Mackey and the Bible Project. They're actually did like a study on holiness and how it biblically lays it out. And I just finished this thing right before we started the series. It was it was radical. But talking about how being set apart and holiness, and we've talked about Life Chapel as being a Levitical church for as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. But so we've taught on this for a while, but for them to put this in, that a study, and then have us talking about it now, it's been so easy to integrate that into my understanding of combating these parts of culture. Yeah. That sometimes your flesh just wants to make an exception for a thing. You know what I mean? I just want to make an exception for a thing. Mm-hmm. But it flies in the face of holiness, right. Of God's definition of holiness and what he desires of holiness, and this whole idea of us being pleasing to God is I feel like so easily left off the table. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about ourselves, living our lives, and we forget that
We should please God.
Like, yeah.
We should be pleasurable
Simple.
to God. God
Simple,
should look at us and find joy.
Yeah.
Like he should feel joy looking at us.
You're finishing my sentence. That's it.
That's
man.
what I'm here for. You were taking too long.
No, dude. It's it's such. When you think about it and put it back, you're like you have to be like God. You have to be like, forgive me, God, for leaving that off the table for any conversation. But it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it is. It's like it radicalizes just the way that you process these things. Where you're just like, I'm okay with holiness. Like there's some part of me that's willing to just let go of some things for now, just because I'm okay with understanding that it's holy. I might not understand the nuance. I might not understand, the details why, or really what like exactly what was God saying when he called this holy, but if it is holy,
Mm-hmm.
if maybe just that for right now, like if it is holy, I'm going to be okay with it, or I'm going to let God put me to peace for just some time before I get to the sophisticated answer, before I find one. It might be years before I'm really comfortable with sophisticated answer. But as long as I know this is what holiness looks like in God's terms, I can be at peace for now,
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, and I think as we begin to talk about this, I'm just excited for you bringing in these sophisticated conversations with this perspective of focusing on holiness. I think it's going to pair together really well.
You know what I think happens a lot of times is I think sometimes I will say something and I think you'll say it back to me and then I don't like how it sounds.
Yeah.
You keep saying sophisticated, and I know that's the word I use, but now I'm sick of it. So I don't think we should use that anymore.
Dude, so
no, it just feels so like pretentious. Like it feels so like, because I don't know, there's something, maybe it's just like the fundamentalist in me, like the fundamentalist Christian raising that's like against sophistication. But I don't know. I feel like I should come up with another word
for all intents and purposes. It serves the conversation right now.
It's more than just, we got to come up with answers that are well thought through.
Sophisticated.
Sophisticated. It's true though. The challenges to Scripture and Christian living and holy living and holiness, and even the idea that something could be holy, those challenges are becoming ever more sophisticated. Yeah. And so I think we have to be ready as Christians. Yeah. And the other thing I want to say is like, I think, and this is without shaming, because you don't know what you're going to need for the future, and you don't know what you don't know. But I think oftentimes we lose relationships with very important people to us, like children, like brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, people that maybe we could have had an answer for, that maybe the we never thought it was a big deal, like the idea of gender or the idea of sexuality or the idea of, because we fit into, maybe a more, I don't know, comfortable box, or we just naturally, fit into a more comfort, like a non-stigmatized whatever, something that can, because I don't want to say a holy, because like heterosexuality in almost all of its forms is unholy. Yeah, it's only holy in one form.
Have you listened to Christopher Yuan's story?
I've just finished reading his book.
Have you really?
Yeah,
I have never read it, but I've heard him talk. I think I've heard him talk 2 times. But he talks about the difference. He said like the opposite of living a sinful lifestyle, sexually sinful lifestyle, is not heterosexuality, or just what we understand is like the normal what God would desire. It's holy sexuality, it's holy living. Right. That's the opposite.
But yeah, and so what I'm trying to say is like, but it's much easier to pass off heterosexuality as synonymous with holy sexuality, right? Like you walk around to church and like you're married. Now you may be addicted to porn or lusting after somebody on your job, or have some sort of affair going on, right? But it's so much easier to look, and so that's why I wrestle with that, with how to describe that. But I think, and then because of that, because your natural inclinations aren't on their face pegged as like, whoa, like that's anti-biblical, know, because of that, then you feel like, well, I don't have to look into that. I don't have to study that. But at some point you're going to meet someone who needs an answer, and not just an uncaring, or compromised answer. They need a well thought out biblical answer. And so everybody should be at Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing it live and online.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be some advantages to live. One of them being we're not going to be taking discussion questions online.
Yeah.
So once we reach the end of
incentive, it's like we want you here.
Yeah, like once we reach the end of the
You're merely
lesson,
a spectator, not a participator.
yeah. Once we reach the end of the lesson, we're going to cut off the live. But I also want people to be able to ask honest questions.
For sure.
I want it to be a space for people to just be like, I did not understand that, or I think you're totally wrong, or whatever that is. I want it to be a space for people, and I don't think that should be broadcast in this context, in a church family context.
That's good.
I don't want that to be broadcast. And so that's going to be the advantage of coming to Wednesday night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's going to be 10 weeks.
Jazzed.
Yeah, we're also starting back young adult small group for a 10-week period. I don't know that we've talked about any other small groups. I think most of our small groups are still going to remain on hold until further notice. I think most people are still not quite comfortable bringing people into their homes. So that's kind of the stuff that's coming up. This week continues the Holiness series at Life Chapel. Do not miss it. It's going to be so good. We had a great crowd on Sunday. I'm anticipating a great crowd this next Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
I just want to go through comments before.
Do you want to respond like now to them?
Yeah, I got to go through them.
Oh, well, don't go through all of them. All right, we'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just got to see what's going on. Do a monologue or something.
Hit a couple of the majors. We'll take about 5 minutes and respond to some comments from throughout this stuff.
I love it. Oh man. Oh, Alexis, please.
What did Alexis say that you're responding? You can't just
I know, I need a minute, though.
Alexis,
so
please.
She's awesome. She says, can we take a special offering for Logan's check? First off, Alexis, you may manage and run that. I'll just trust whatever amount I get from you is received in a holy manner. Okay, Aaron Shrine always contributes well to this, and I have cultural conversations are so necessary. She said, "God desires unity, and how can we all be on the same page if we do not have and help me, Aaron. God desires unity, and how can we all be on the same page and have a broad perspective if we have never had the conversations?"
Right.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Well, and I think that's somewhat of the misnomer about, I think a lot of people are uncomfortable. They think, well, this should be about the gospel. Churches should essentially just talk about Jesus and never rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
But I had a thought the other day during prayer that I got on. We're going to do 4 more minutes.
So we're good.
I had a thought the other day during prayer that I think is going to be a launching point for a lot of this. And it's, so the church has always acknowledged that there's 2 forms of revelation of God. There's what's called special revelation, which would be the revelation of Jesus Christ, the revelation of Scripture as the Word of God, those types of things. Then there's general revelation. And this is where we put things like anyone can observe gravity. Yeah. Anyone can observe the laws of nature, that if you plant a seed, a tree grows, and you could even observe how all of that takes place, right? This is the role of secular science. This is what we would call general revelation. It's the revelation that everybody can partake in, but it's still from God. And this is where I think a lot of times in the cultural sphere, there has in the past been a severe attack on even the idea of special revelation, right? Jesus Christ is Lord, that can't be. The Bible is true, that can't be. The Bible's the Word of God, that can't be. And now I think that attack is moving to general revelation, where it's just tearing down the idea of truth, the idea that there can be truth, the idea that there can be things like gender, things like, objective truth, all of those things. And so I think it's the church's duty to not only protect and defend special revelation, right? The revelation that Jesus is Lord, the revelation that the Bible is His Word, but also to, when it's necessary, protect and defend general revelation, just truth that is given to us. That
is good. That's really good.
So that's that thought.
Thank you for
kind of tagging on to Aaron.
Thanks, dude. Widespread appreciation for planning for Christmas 2021.
Yes. Come on. Let's do it, Life Chapel.
Life Chapel said, we have late kids, LOL. I swear if that's Gentry on that thing right now and LOLing you, who is that? Who's running that?
I don't know. Probably Gentry, I would imagine.
Gentry.
I don't know who the late kids
are. And then
are.
Gentry followed up immediately by saying, we have late kids. I graduated 2012. Oh, Linda. Dude, thank you, Linda. 4-H stands for Engaging Youth in Head, Heart, Hands, and Health.
Oh.
Clubs. I knew there was 4-H's.
That's awesome.
4-H. Clubs in today's 4-H world consist of a wide range of options, each allowing for personal growth and career success, I think. Oh, the whole thing. Linda, she ended it with I think. I was actually like, it's fact. Like she's copied up the website. Well, I believe you though, Linda.
It sounds right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
No, sweet, man. So yeah, just generally, I love a lot of interaction tonight. We are going to make a concerted effort because I am the host. I'm going to make an announcement that we are going to make a concerted effort. I want to be interactive. I really do. Maybe we can get somebody.
Tonight was our experiment in not being interactive.
Yeah,
I feel like.
which we did so good tonight, though.
Yeah.
Don't you think we need how Joe Rogan has the guy that manages.
We got one more minute. Jamie.
Yeah, young Jamie.
Yeah.
We need him to do the comments and tell us what's relevant.
Right, absolutely.
Who could do it?
I don't know.
I'll
Gentry was doing it for a while, but get over yourself. But that should be the same person who is our tech, basically.
Yeah.
Who, like, if our gain is too, we need somebody to turn down the gain.
Yeah, man, we need someone to adjust
Yeah,
our
so
gain.
if you're interested in something like that and meeting up with us Monday nights from 9, it's not hard.
We're funny too.
Yeah.
And we can be funnier if you are.
From 9 to 10, and I'll even bring you food or something if you want to come do
I
something
can do
like
it.
that.
All right, I'll do it.
We also need somebody who's going to run the live stream on Wednesday nights. That's going to be a big thing. So if you're out there and you're thinking about it, if you have my number, shoot me a text. If not, shoot Life Chapel an email, lifechapeltoledo@gmail.com. With that, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet. Love you guys.
Wait, no, we forgot to pray.
Thank you.
Jesus, thank you for the opportunity to do this podcast. Thank you for all the listeners. Lord, we pray that you would bless them, bless this church, and bless your people, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.